What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to Game Day with Trey. Of course, this is your host, Trey, and today we're going to talk about this NBA Finals matchup between the Dallas Mavericks and the Boston Celtics. All right, so this game is set to tip off at 8 p.m. East Coast time Sunday night. Dallas getting 7. Over-under is between 214, 214 and a half some places right now. Excuse me. And so let's go ahead and let's get into this, guys. All right, so of course we know in game one, all right, the Dallas Mavericks ended up coming out and lost that game. They didn't cover the 6.5 points. They lost 107-89. So that game also did go under the total of 215, as well as Boston went under the 110 points. Or 110 and a half points. And of course, we know Dallas went way under their points. But let's get into how this actually occurred and how they ended up losing this game, guys. All right, so first quarter, Dallas came out, and at the beginning of the first quarter, they looked like they had an opportunity to actually hang with Boston. But then around the middle of the second quarter, or first quarter, when Porzingis came in, it just changed the whole complexion of the game, guys. All right, so Dallas only scored 20 points in that first quarter, whereas Boston ended up scoring 37 points in that first quarter, guys. And then when you look at the second quarter, Dallas did fight back a little bit. They shook back a little bit. They ended up putting up 22, but Boston still outscored them by scoring 26 points in that second quarter. So at the half, Boston did cover their first half, minus 3.5 or minus 2.5, wherever you got it at. And now we'll go into the half. Third quarter, Dallas did a little something. They scored 24 points to Boston's 23 points. And then in the fourth quarter, Dallas once again, showed up a little bit as we had anticipated due to how the trends go for their offense versus defense, this and that in the third by quarter. All right, Dallas, once again, they outscored them 23-21, but it doesn't matter if the first half you getting blown out like that, man. Okay. So, what exactly happened in this game, or how did they get here? All right, well, we know that Luka came out, had 30 points, shooting 12 of 26 from the field, and 2 out of 5 from the free throw line. And Jaylen Brown, he had 22 points, 7 of 12 from the field, and 6 of 11 from the free throw line. All right, but when you look a little bit deeper into the box score and what happened between these two teams, the first thing you got to notice is that all of the starters for the Boston Celtics were in double digits, whereas with Dallas, they only had 3 starters in double digits. That's red flag number 1 with how that game went. Red flag number 2 with how that game went for Dallas, all right, is the fact that Dallas shot 41.7% from the field. Boston shot 47.6% from the field. But Dallas came out and shot 25.9% from 3, guys. You can't do that and expect to win. Not against the Boston Celtics, especially if they're shooting 38.1% from 3. All right, which is not even what they average on the season, guys. On the year, okay, the Boston Celtics from 3, okay, average here we go. Dallas shoots 38.5% from 3 on the season. So when they come into a game, all right, and they shoot 38.1% from 3, that's just what they normally do. You know what I mean? That's just what they normally do, guys. Whereas when you got a team like Dallas that comes out and they shoot on the season 36.9% from 3, but come out and shoot 28. Let's see, hold up, let it refresh real quick. 25.9% from 3. Okay, that lets you know there's going to be some regression to the mean, okay, for Dallas, so that's a good thing. You know, they're going to progress. They're going to look a little bit better from three, but at the same time, Boston shot what they normally shoot. And when you look at a turnover battle, Boston got beat on the turnover battle. Boston turned the ball over 14 times, whereas Dallas only turned the ball over 11 times. But Boston out-rebounded the Dallas Mavericks 47-43. Okay, so when you win that rebound battle, like we always say, man, that turns out to control a lot of things as far as the final outcome of the game. And then when you look at the fact that the Dallas Mavericks as a whole and as a team, okay, they only had let's see how many assists, man. I gotta look at that real quick, because I know Luka had 1 assist, right? So if Luka had 1 assist, how many assists do you guys think that the rest of the team had? I mean, they finished with a total of 9 assists, guys, with Kyrie leading the team in assists with 2 assists. Like that tells you something, man. The ball is not moving like it needs to move, but that's because that's the offense that they run. Now, can Jason Kidd make adjustments? Yes, he can. All right, but at the end of the day, you can't be out assisted 9-23, meaning the ball's moving for one side and one team, but the ball's not moving for the other team. And then you won the turnover battle, so that's what really just makes it even more glaring, because since you won the turnover battle, but you didn't pass the ball to anybody or to each other when you did matriculate the ball down the court to run an offense, like that just, I don't know, man. Like the numbers will tell you a lot of things when you're looking at basketball and trying to figure out who's going to do what and why they do what they do. And I'm telling you right now, Jason Kidd is going to have to make some serious adjustments in order to change the outcome. All right, so injury report, Boston has no injuries. Of course, Prosper is questionable for Dallas. He's still nursing an ankle sprain, and it remains to be seen if he'll face off in this game 2 matchup. And we all know Greg Brown III is still out. All right. So when we look at just what these two teams have been doing against each other, all right, head to head. Okay, head to head in the last 10 games, Boston Celtics are 6-4 against these Dallas Mavericks, and they're currently on a 5-game win streak against the Mavericks, guys, and a 5-game cover streak against the Mavericks, because they're 7-3 against the spread in the last 10, and 5-0 in the last 5. All right, now it's been 2 to the over, 7 to the under, or 1 push in the last 10 games they've been playing. So as you can see, they trend to the under when these two teams do match up. Hence that 214.5, 215 number looking decent. You know, now we were talking about how Dallas has been playing in their last 10. In the last 10, Dallas has been was 7-3 straight up, 6-4 against the spread, and 5 to the over, 5 to the under. Now that Boston's came out here and mollywopped them like that, guys. All right, but the one thing I can say is that after a loss, so in the last 10 games, Dallas has 3 losses, right? One being the one from the other night, this 107-89. But when they lost to OKC back on May 13th, okay, and they lost 196, the next game they came out and won. All right, that was in OKC. And then when you look at what they did here against Minnesota, when they lost on May 28th to Minnesota, 105-100, they came out and smacked Minnesota in the next game, 124-103. Now, both of those games were on the road, but at the same time, we also know that Boston has not lost. They've only lost 1 game in the last 10 games they played. And that game that they lost was in game 2 to the Cleveland Cavaliers. They lost 118-94. All right, and they were giving up 13, and the over-under was at 212.5, and it went under in that game. Now, there is no defense for losing that game like that, okay? Especially after they lost to Miami in the same position, same exact spot, with almost the same line, okay? So is there an opportunity for Dallas to actually, cover the spread and maybe win the game even? in this one, man, after looking at the game and seeing what happened and how the matchups, like I told y'all before, this team doesn't match up well with Boston. Boston's got guys that at any point in time could all take off, all right, and can all score, whereas Dallas does not. Dallas has two players, and those two players are going to beat the ball on the ground, run the pick and roll, and then go back to the isolation shot if they don't like what happens off that pick and roll. And that's pretty much the depth of their offense. That can't happen against the Boston Celtics, who's going to be swinging the ball from one side of the court to the other side of the court, and everybody's shooting threes. And they shooting 38.5 or something like that on the season from three. Like, it's just those are the things that's going to kill the Dallas Mavericks. Now, dude, that 7 points is still within reach, but good God, you know, who's going to score? Who else is going to score for Dallas, man? All right, so let's just take a little bit deeper look into this matchup. So, on the season, or not in the season, on the last 3 games, okay, that these two teams have touched the court. The Mavericks are averaging 104.3 points per game and giving up 105 points per game. All right, whereas Boston's covering by 8 points. They're scoring 108.7 points and they're only giving up 100.7 points per game, guys. So even if you're just looking at the last 3 times these teams have suited up on the court against, whether it be each other or whoever they played in the Eastern Conference and Western Conference Finals, Dallas is playing decent D, but not the best D because they're not winning by margin. And Boston, despite the fact that they just had this huge blowout, they're still only winning by 8.7 points, guys. All right, on average margin in the last 3 games. Okay, which bodes well for Dallas, but at the same time, like I just got done telling you, man, like this is not a good matchup at all for the Dallas Mavericks, guys. All right, so just looking a little bit deeper into these numbers, we all know Boston at home on the season's 44-6 right now. And on the road, the Dallas is 32-19 straight up. But then when you look in this current situation as a home favorite, Boston's still 44-6. They don't lose, man. Okay, and then as an away underdog, Dallas is 11-15 straight up. All right, in this current situation. Now in the playoffs, Dallas is 12-6 straight up, and Boston's 13-2, guys. But once again, that away underdog role, 11-15, does not bode well for them, especially since some of the games that they won in the playoffs, they were road underdogs. Okay, now let's look against the spread. Against the spread as a home team, Boston's 27-21 Boston's 27-21-2 on the season, whereas as an away team, Dallas is 34-17 against the spread. But when you look at the current situation, it's a home favorite. Boston's 27-21-2, like I said, and as an away underdog, Dallas is 14-12. So they do show a tendency to be able to cover, as well as hang with the team. But at the end of the day, man, I'm not sure. If they're going to, like, that 7 points might be good. But at the end of the day, we'll talk about that at the end of the show. All right, so in the playoffs, just against the spread, Dallas is 11-7, whereas Boston is 8-7 against the spread in the playoffs this season. And then we look over-under as a home favorite. Boston's 28 to the over, 22 to the under, whereas Dallas as an away underdog is 12 to the over, 13 to the under with 1 push. In the playoffs, Dallas is 9-9, and over under, and Boston is 8 to the over and 7 to the under in these playoffs, guys. All right, so one thing I always like to take a look at is by the quarter. So we looked by the quarter earlier and saw how it actually shook out, and it shook out exactly like we're finna cover this right now. On the season, Dallas scores 29.3 points per game in the first quarter, which is number 11 in the NBA, but Boston's defense is fourth in the NBA, only giving up 27 points per game. So we would all anticipate that Dallas will score less than that 29.3 points. And then when you're looking at Boston scores 31.5 points in the first quarter on the season. And Dallas, which is the number one offense in all of the NBA in the first quarter. But then when you look at Dallas has the 20th worst defense in the NBA, and they give up 29 points per game, which pretty much tells you that Boston would definitely get to their 31 and possibly score a little bit more than that. And that's what we just saw. Okay, now let's look at the quarter number 2. Dallas scores 29.1 points per game. Okay, Boston gives up 27.5 points per game. That's the number 10 offense versus the number 8 defense. And when you see it, you can clearly see that kind of happened on the court. All right, because when you turn it and look at Boston's offense in the second quarter, Boston's offense on the season averages 30.9 points per game. That's number 1 in the NBA once again. Okay, Dallas's defense got a little bit better. All right, they do only give up 28.5, but that was the margin that they only gave up a little bit less in the second quarter, guys. So at the end of the day, this is very key to understand how this game shakes out by the quarter, and this is why. Okay, now in the third quarter, Boston averages giving up 26.9 points. That's the number 3 defense in all the NBA. Okay, I think they only gave up 26 points in that quarter. To Dallas scoring 29 points. But once again, like I said, that's the number 3 defense versus the number 11 offense. So, of course, the number 3 defense is what you'll be inclined to see scored. All right, then let's invert this. Look at the 28.7 points that Boston averages per game in the third quarter versus Dallas is only giving up 28.3. That means that Boston most likely wouldn't get to that 28.7 because they actually average just slightly more than Dallas gives up. And that's exactly what happened. And let's look in the fourth quarter. Fourth quarter, Dallas's deep offense averages 28.4 points per game. That's the number 7 offense in the NBA versus Boston only averaging 25.6 giving up, and that's the number 2 defense in all the NBA. But then let's look at how bad Boston's offense is in the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter, they only scored 27.2 points per game. It's the 22nd worst NBA offense. And then when you look at Dallas, they only give up 27.7. That's number 15. So that tells you that Boston probably would score less than that 27.7, like that 2 or whatever, or 27.7. It probably would be at that 24 points. All right. So, that should tell you everything you guys kind of need to know about my lean for this game, man. And just to give you some stats on a couple people. So in the last 5 games, Kristaps Porzingis versus the Mavericks only averages 22 points per game, 7.4 rebounds, 1.6 assists in the last 5. All right. Luka's last 5 against the Boston Celtics, he's averaging 33 points per game, 11.4 rebounds, and only 7.4 assists. That's key, guys. That's very key. All right, keep paying attention. All right, now Jaylen Brown, in his last 5 games, he's averaged 26.2 points per game, 5.4 rebounds, and 3.6 assists in the last 5 against the Mavericks, guys. All right, and then when you're looking at Jason Tatum only averages 30.6 points per game, 11.4 rebounds, and 5.6 assists in the last 5 games versus the Dallas Mavericks. And last but not least, Kyrie, his last 5 against the Boston Celtics, man. Which, remember, he has lost 11 straight now at this point to the Boston Celtics. Kyrie's averaged 19.6 points per game, 3.8 rebounds, and 3.4 assists in his last 5 games against the Celtics in his career, guys. So what am I looking at? What is my lean? All right, first and foremost, I do like Boston minus 3.5 in the first half. You can get that at minus 125 right now at the Hard Rock. I like that. I like the game under the 214.5. I'll probably buy a point though, just to make it square on something under 215.5. And I do lean towards the and if I was gonna play the spread, which I probably won't, but if I was, I would be on the Mavericks actually, hanging with a little bit better. But 7 points is still not enough. So with that being said, I would either buy points for the Mavericks or I would buy even less points for the Celtics, which is probably the direction I would go, is buy even less points for the Celtics. And then, because I would feel they could cover 6 or cover 5.5, I'd buy that down and play that. But as far as player props is concerned, I like Kristaps in the first quarter, score more than 3.5 points. I'm loving that. I already put that in. I definitely like Luka under his 8.5 assists total for the game. I definitely like that just because he doesn't even average that. Right? And the last 5 that he's played him. So that should be a deadbolt too as well. Alright. Kyrie under the 4.5 might be good. Assist because he's not going to get that many. He's only averaging 3.8. So I don't see him getting to no 5 assists. He don't even do that regularly anyway. All right, so might rock with that one too. I got to look at that. Okay, so I don't know. Also, Jason Tatum double. That also looks good, guys. But I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. I pray this information helps you. I will put my leans and plays in the comments and pin it to the top, guys. Have a blessed day. Stay safe. I'm going to see you at the window. Peace.